Didn't they find something similar with London taxi drivers?
No. It's absolutely true. That is a different form of brain plasticity, which is something that we all do, and my students do, hopefully very well, which is learning. So can learning the streets of London, which are, I can't remember the number of different streets that London taxicab drivers have to learn to pass the famous test called the knowledge. But I do remember that it takes them 4 years to study for this test. It is intense knowledge. You have to learn all the lawful ways to get from all the big landmarks to be a certified London taxicab driver. And what my colleague Eleanor McGuire, a professor of neuroscience at University College London, did is she followed wannabe London taxicab drivers during their 4 years of the knowledge, this test for London taxicab drivers, knowing that half of them were going to fail. They were not going to make it. And so she tested them at the beginning and asked, how is your memory? And how big is your hippocampus? Identical for all of the wannabe London taxicab drivers before they started.
She scanned their brains?
Yeah, she scanned their brains and she tested their memory behaviorally. Then they go through, half of them drop out, they don't become London taxicab drivers, and half of them become certified London taxicab drivers after successfully learning all of this. Now let's see, how big is your hippocampus and how good is your memory? The people that passed the test and became London taxicab drivers, the posterior part of their hippocampus, which is the part we know is important for it, posterior is back towards the back of the head. The posterior part of the hippocampus, which is kind of a cigar-shaped structure that goes from the front part of the brain to the back part of the brain, that back part of the brain was significantly bigger in those successful London taxicab drivers compared to the failed London taxicab drivers. And the memory of the successful London taxicab drivers were now superior to the memory of the wannabe London taxicab drivers that failed. So that is an example of how intense learning in a particular part of the brain, we know the posterior hippocampus is absolutely involved in spatial learning. That can change the actual structure and the function